Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
So, welcome everybody. Guten Morgen, Ula. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. I see that somebody. Bon dia, Victor. I see that somebody has the mic. Buenos días. Okay, so I think that's time to start. As you know, this is the last morning session in this period, the first one. So this is for us a very special session. I think it's the 135, something like that. And I am really happy to meet with you today. Okay, so we have a very interesting session for today. It's about the role of clusters in the European recovery plans. As you know, those plans are now a work in progress. So yesterday we have two very interesting perspectives from Belgium and Portugal, and today we will hear about the approach on clusters, not specifically on the recovery plans, mostly on the smart specialization strategies, okay? But I think that a lot of it can be applied to the possible designing of the recovery plans, I hope. And so we will hear the references from Italy and Romania. So thank you for joining us. And I will let Ilaria Massari from Reindustria Innovazione to introduce Federica Bertamino. Ilaria?
Thank you. Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Good morning to everyone. I see Federica Bertamino is already here, so thank you again, Antonio. Federica Bertamino is part of the National Agency for Territorial Cohesion, and she coordinates the S3 implementation, so the smart specialization strategies, having the complete overview about the state of the art and meeting all the regional authorities, making, for example, focus on sectoral and value chain analysis, as well as cross-sectoral laboratories. She will explain, and I'm really looking forward to listen. Starting from here, Federica has involved the Italian clusters for increasing the effectiveness of the S3 implementation, and she will describe what role clusters are having now and will have in the next programming period. So as you know, we have been talking a lot about the S3 implementation also in the previous weeks, and we know how is important also in the focus on the recovery plans. So thank you, Federica, for being here. I will give you the word. We are not hearing you. I don't know if you are, but we see your screen. Maybe she's having some.
Ciao, Federica. We see that your mic is off. Now it's on. Can you speak now?
Good morning. Yes, good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Very well.
I'm very sorry. I tried to share my screen. I don't know if I because yes, I cannot see it, and so perhaps
Federica, we are seeing your screen. We are able to see your screen. You need to go to the PDF. Yes, that there. Okay, in the PDF.
Yes.
And perhaps you could put it in the screen mode, full screen mode in Vista.
Or Control L. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, sorry, because okay, so I'm able now to show my presentation because I cannot see very well the screen. So
oops, we lose.
We lose you, Federica. Sorry, I don't know what happened.
Oh, yeah, maybe she's not here anymore. I'm going to call her.
Yes. Okay. This happens is part of our training as new digital citizens. So no problem at all. We are flexible. If you don't mind, Gabriela, Daniel, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Hello, Daniel. Welcome. Could you introduce us, Gabriela?
Yes, hello, everybody. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce to you Mrs. Gabriela Macoveiu, which is a director for programming in the Regional Development Agency Northeast in Romania. And the Regional Development Agency Northeast is the most advanced in Romania in considering the involvement of clusters as instruments for the smart specialization. And this is not for now, but this started a long time ago, and the agency was very strong, and Mrs. Macoveiu personally was very strongly involved in supporting the cluster development in the Northeast region. And although this is the, so to say, the poorest region of Romania, it is the flagship considering the involvement of clusters and the involvement of FDAs in clusters. And also she has some revolutionary ideas to involve clusters in the next programming period. But about this, I think that Gabriela herself will speak about it. So thank you. Thank you, Gabriela, for joining us, and welcome.
Thank you. If you want to wait for our colleague Federica to, or you want me to start before?
I don't know. Federica, are you there?
yes, I am, but as you prefer. As you prefer.
Please, Federica.
If you are there, I think it makes sense to return to the proper order. Thank you, Gabriela, for your understanding.
Antonio, we agree with Federica that I can show her presentation. So if you allow me.
For sure.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, good morning, and thank you very much for your kind invitation. My name is Federica Bertamino. I work at the Italian Agency for Territorial Cohesion of the Presidency of the Council of Ministers, and I'm responsible for monitoring of innovation policies and for the coordination of smart specialization strategies. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the challenges of national coordination of S3s in Italy and about the work we are doing to involve national technological clusters in activities concerning the definition of smart specialization strategies in new programming period. So next slide, please. Before I begin, I would just like to briefly explain the Italian situation, as it is quite different from most of the other countries in Italy. In Italy, we have a national S3 and 21 regional ones. The national S3 concentrates on 5 thematic areas, and it is implemented through 2 national operational plans financed by structural funds and through strategic plans financed by national cohesion funds. The 21 regions are very different from each other, and they are divided into 2 different categories according to cohesion policies criteria. 5 are classified as less developed, 3 in transition, 13 as more developed. So the 21 regional S3s are very different in terms of objectives, timing, approaches. Next slide. As I told you, regions are characterized by different levels of administrative abilities, implementation structures, level of experience in managing and monitoring R&I policies. And also regional S3s were approved with different timing, and so they are in different stage, they have different needs. Each Italian region has its own monitoring system following European Commission regulation. And so we have 21 regions with different skills and monitoring capabilities, a variety of methods and indicators, different degree of stakeholder engagement in S3 monitoring. As you can imagine, in Italy, an important challenge deals with the governance. We have to answer to different needs of each region, and at the same time, we need the national vision on what is happening. So we need to collect, compare, and synthesize information from each regional system, creating also synergies with the national S3. So we conducted a survey in 2016, asking the critical items on which regions would like to receive support. And these are the 3 main points that the survey highlights. So the regions need providing comparable information across regions by priority area, supporting the monitoring and implementation of S3s through capacity building initiatives, and providing a space for peer exchange and sharing experience between regions and also with all the actors of regional innovation system. So they ask for a national coordination activities. So next slide. The monitoring unit of the Agency for Territorial Cohesion that generally gives methodological support to regions for S3 monitoring, had also the task to develop a monitoring system at the central level containing information on the 21 regional S3s. So today we have a data set that has all the information on calls, aspects of governance and the role of stakeholders, priority area and development path, strategy and project indicators, budgetary framework. So we are able to give information comparable across regions. But our problem was to have information by priority area, because this is the main topic of smart specialization strategies. And so it was important for us to have information by priority area. For this reason, the National Agency for Territorial Cohesion and the State General Account Department launched an activity with regions in order to identify S3 projects in the national monitoring system. So next slide. It was a very long work. I don't want to spend too much time to describe it, but what I want to share with you, it is that we had a large heterogeneity because the 21 smart specialization strategies had 80 priorities, and so we needed to harmonize this priority across the regions. And this is the reason why the monitoring unit of the National Agency for Territorial Cohesion guided regions to define a model to trace back the 84 priority areas to a unique taxonomy to allow comparison and the shared codification of the regional choices. So it was intended to trace back the regional priorities to the 12 areas selected by the National Research Plan 2015-2020 that you can see in next slide. And so today, in our national monitoring system, we know all the projects financed at the regional level on these 12 areas that are health, cultural heritage, green chemistry, design creativity, environments of life, smart, secure, and inclusive communities, sustainable mobility, blue growth, smart manufacturing, energy and environment, aerospace, agri-food. So today, in next slide, you can find the link where you can find the methodology and also the description of our national monitoring system, and so the description of the data information that we have information not only by the 12 priority areas, but also with a large granularity. So within each priority area, we have information on technological trajectories. So we have information with very big granularity. For each priority area, we know the project that have been financed at territorial level by each region with very large details. So next slide, please. Yes, it was what I was telling, that in our national monitoring system, we have all the projects financed by thematic objective 1, that is research and innovation, and the priority and the development path must be updated following each S3 revision process. So it's a very continuous updating process. We, as a national agency, we provide the specific report on S3 implementation by priorities, and also the national monitoring system provides information on indicators by S3 priorities. Next slide. This is very important for us because today we have an integrated vision by priority of the S3 implementation through the analysis of financed project by priority and by development path. And also we can have an awareness of the gap implementation programming. That is, now we know we can compare what regions have chosen in their S3 and what we have really financed. So we know the work that we are doing with the regions is very important, because we are comparing what we programmed with what we really financed by priority. And this is very, share information with the regions is very important, because we are supporting monitoring and evaluation activities, revision process, cooperation between administration and stakeholders, comparison and benchmarking with other Italian and European regions, definition of common indicators by priority, and synergies with our national S3. But what I want to share with you is also the work that we are doing in terms of capacity building initiatives. And I would like to introduce the National Laboratory for the Research and Innovation Policies that I coordinated. This laboratory has been created in order to have a space for exchange and sharing experience between administrations and other relevant actors of national and regional innovation systems. So in this laboratory, we have the participation of research institutions, public administration, national technological clusters, and for us is really a very important place for stakeholder cooperation, for the discussion on important subject on of the implementation of research and innovation policies, and also to provide collaborative solution to specific problems. So for us, it's a very important instrument. In the next slide, you can see the meeting and the activities that we have realized in the last two years, and so the main subject, you can see that in June 2019, we had an important meeting on interregional and international collaboration, where we invited the national technological clusters to discuss their role, their possible role, their contribution in supporting regions in interregional and international collaboration. And a few days ago, the 21 July, we had another meeting where we were discussing the contribution of national technological clusters for the smart specialization enabling condition for the 21-27 programming period. And so I would briefly show you in the next few slides the work that we are doing on the S3 mission for the 21-27 programming period. As you know, cohesion policy objective 1 for next programming period, that is smarter Europe by promoting innovative and smart economic transformation, have an enabling condition to accede to research and innovation resources for next programming period. We need to have a good governance of national and regional S3 strategy. This enabling condition has 7 fulfillment criteria. So smart specialization strategy shall be supported by up-to-date analysis of bottlenecks for innovation diffusion, including digitalization, existence of competent regional, national institution or body responsible for the management of the smart specialization strategy, monitoring and evaluation tools to measure performance towards the objectives of the strategy, and effective functioning of entrepreneurial discovery process, actions necessary to improve national and regional research and innovation system, and action to manage industrial transition, and finally measure for international collaboration. So the work that we are doing with the national clusters concerns criteria 1, 4, 5, and 7. That is, with reference to criteria 1, up-to-date analysis of bottlenecks for innovation diffusion, including digitalization, the cluster define in Italy a 3-year plan of activity with a special focus on less developed regions. And so in our opinion, since this plan is based on specific analysis, we think that this analysis can be useful for administration to identify key bottlenecks, such as weakness in adoption at firm level of new technologies, failure by university and research centers to serve the needs of firm, inefficiencies of innovation agency in facilitating knowledge flows and coordination problems with other public agency, lack of knowledge transfer from multinational companies to domestic firms. With reference to the second to the criteria for effective functioning of entrepreneurial discovery process, we are working with the cluster because the cluster can help administrations in reaching firms for more inclusive EDP. They can offer the support of experts to the management of thematic working groups in order to guarantee an interactive and inclusive process in which actors from business, research, and civil society and public administration identify specialization priority, and also they can help to guarantee an ongoing process where all stakeholders are adequately represented also in the implementation phase. The last slide concerns the two other criteria, the 5 and the 7, for which we are asking for a contribution of national technological clusters. The 5, action necessary to improve national and regional research and innovation systems. We think that the actions defined in the 3-year plans of activity of cluster can be useful to support regions in implementing actions required by country-specific recommendation and country reports within the European semester, or dedicated evaluation highlighting shortcomings and needs for improvement and defining remediation actions. And with reference to measure for international collaboration, in our opinion, cluster could support regions in mapping opportunities for international collaborations and promoting measures to engage regional stakeholders to participate in S3 platforms and develop EU or international value chains. Thank you very much. Sorry if I was too long, and I'm available for any question that you want. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Federica. Really interesting. Please go.
Grazie mille, Ilaria, Federica, especially Federica, okay, for your explanations. And yes, I am sure that we will come back to you with some questions. But before, it's time to hear Gabriela Macoviu. She has been introduced from Daniel Cosnita. So, Gabriela, are you there?
Yes, if you can offer me the possibility also to share the screen for my presentation.
For sure. So, you should be able to do that now. Yes, I really like all the plants that you have behind you.
So I would like to put the issue from a different perspective of a region that is lagging region, as Daniel pointed out. I would like to thank to the Cluster Alliance for inviting me to this workshop. What I want to stress the fact that yes, we need the clusters together with us in the regional development process. In Romania, they're related to the aspect of RIS3. Regions have started to develop the smart specialization strategy quite recently, 2018-2019. Is not the case of our region because we've started earlier. We had the opportunity to jointly peer review our strategy with the Joint Research Center exercise in 2014, and in 2016 together with the project of technical assistance of DG Regio, RIS3 in lagging regions, we had the possibility to review and update the methodology used for entrepreneurial discovery process. In Romania, there have 7 lagging regions, 1 region in transition, which is the capital region, and we also have a national strategy for smart specialization, which is under development. To say to you is that the good news is the connection between the regional smart specialization and the national smart specialization strategy is increased. Now we had a activated National Council for steering the smart specialization process, where regions have a voice and they can come to make inputs to have a national strategy well correlated with the regional initiatives. I just want to go faster to what has been the outcomes of our agency of regional development working with clusters. We have started early in 2008 supporting these associations and creation of genuine clusters that has managing entities and that has members actively involved in projects for competitiveness, projects for research and innovation, for internationalization. And we are pretty satisfied with the fact that now, together with the National Association of Clusters, we have good outcomes for the structures that has been created. This is just a map with the 9 clusters which are active in our region from 11 clusters already established. I will go fast to this. It's about the health clusters. We have the single imagistic and structural and molecular imagistic cluster in Romania, which is Imago Mall. It's a cluster with 38 members, but focused on research and digital health in their projects. They are already members of the National Association of Clusters and awarded with the medal for the excellence of management, silver medal for management. BioRone is a biotechnology cluster with 20 members already established in 2011. Then we have a textile cluster. It's the oldest and let's say the most active cluster in Romania in this area, with 33 members, also awarded with a silver medal for the excellence management. The tourist cluster, this is the oldest cluster for tourism, established in 2008 in our region with 47 members. We have a cluster in agriculture with 35 members, BioNest, and one in habitat with the Guild of Clusters Guild of Builders in Iași with 47 members. Also, we have newly established last year Carpathian Furniture Cluster. So you can see the activities of creating this association has been increased in the last 5 years, and these clusters, when we say they are active, is that we have monitored their performance, and we have seen a constant increasing in the total number of members, total staff, and turnover, and also the amplitude of activities for research and innovation that has been implemented with the members has doubled or tripled in some cases, which is a very good news. In digitalization, we have 2 clusters, Euronest with 72 members, Iconic in IT media, and the newest established is Digital Innovation Hub, Digital Innovation Zone Northeast. So taking into account this these grounds for development that has been together with us in shaping the first smart specialization strategy, but also having inputs for the regional development plan. We now are in the process of revising the smart specialization strategy, preparing ourselves for the programming period 2021-2027, where again our vision is that clusters must be the backbone of this change strategy, because we now are more focused, based on lessons learned, on strengthening the innovation ecosystem at regional level through investments and through administrative capacity measures. Our smart specialization strategy has focused on traditional sectors like agri-food, textiles, but also on sectors which can be catalyzers for other sectors like IT, health and tourism. And also we have new coming areas of activities which are growing faster, like energy and environment. RIS3 Northeast has been developed with intensive collaborative support coming from a great number of stakeholders representing the quadruple helix. So the entrepreneurial discovery process has been sustained continuously since 2016 through workshops, sectorial workshops, cross-sectorial workshops, and each sector of with potential for smart specialization has also attached a project development laboratory at regional level. The role of the clusters in this process is important on one aspect when we define the niches for specialization in each sector. So when we define the structure of smart specialization, they have an active role to design the strategy, and they are part of the governance system of the smart specialization strategy. We have a steering committee at regional level where clusters are sitting together with academia, social, public administration, and civil society, they give us the validation on what we forward as a proposition for a strategic document for smart specialization. Secondly, we engage clusters in entrepreneurial discovery process, like we said, as our colleagues in Italy, because they can bring closer to us their members, but also because they come with, let's say, more broader vision of development than the companies themselves. But the entrepreneurial discovery process was also very useful to offer the platform for bringing new proposition for recruiting new members in clusters, for bringing new intelligence about existing research initiatives in our region that are useful for the clusters. And it has been very fruitful, their contribution. Now, what we have learned is that each sectorial EDP needs to develop this collaborative leadership to help our agency to ensure the management and coordination of the process of operationalization of smart specialization. What does this mean? Is that when you have the strategic paper, you need a project portfolio that is developed bottom up through this project laboratory, project development laboratories to help the people with innovative ideas to stay together, match their propositions that are arising from different corners of the region, develop collaborative proposals, and then forward them as application forms for different financing programs. So in our vision, we think that this will continue. We will increase the role of this sectorial leadership in terms of supporting our agency also in the process of collecting data for the monitoring process. We've already have successful workshop in December where we have discussed already about lessons learned and how we can start the revision process based on what we have learned in this current period of programming. Of course, just one comment, smart specialization strategy is implemented through the national operational programs and some international financing sources like Horizon 2020 or Interreg or Danube interregional cooperation programs. So from this perspective, for us, for our agency, it was a little bit complicated until now to collect data for the monitoring when this multitude of systems of forwarding investment projects is not always offering us the data necessary to collect the information relevant for the region. In Romania, in 2014-2020, all operational programs were national, including the so-called regional operational program. The good news is the next programming period, we will have regional operational program Northeast with RDA as a managing authority. The new way that we see, or the way that we want to consolidate activities together with the cluster in the future is to focus or drive the management and coordination of the cluster associations to three key areas. One is that related to what happens now in the world with this COVID-19 pandemic. We want to draw the attention on the fact that clusters must be focused on entrepreneurial support, startups creation, and activities for scale up for their members. This is necessary because the evolution of the economic picture showed us that many companies in our region needed to reorientate their activities, needed to take care of about new needs or for new arising markets, or they need to adapt production for existing markets which they don't have yet the capabilities. Second is to increase the international cooperation. Under this framework, we see better connection with our clusters between them at regional level to consolidate the regional network of clusters with the national clusters similar with activities in similar sector, or cross-sectorial cooperation, but also at international level to increase the cluster-to-cluster exchange, member-to-member exchange and cooperation, and we encourage this a lot. So inter-regional cooperation projects and the participation in international initiatives, including in smart specialization platforms, is three. The third one is, of course, to be much focused and to give attention to increase of digital maturity of their members, to promote services to support digital transformation of their members, to encourage them to apply for projects which increase their capacity. So this is in our perspective how we want to focus the activity. Like I said, starting with this programming period, taking into account that our agency is going to be managing authority, and we are now in the position to have the possibility to design the instrument tailored to the needs of the cluster's development, we have taken into account two types of interventions. One is related to direct investments that are configured like this. One is to assess the gaps identified in their value chain and to propose creation of new industrial activities in the form of startups or expanding the activity of their SME members. Because I give you an example. In the construction cluster, they said we are missing at this moment an entity capable to recover the products based on glass that are used in construction, which today are leftovers and waste, but we would like to reuse and give a new value to these products. In textile industry, we are missing, for example, the very important link which is related to weaving material, that we are based now on importing the raw material, importing also the furnished, the garments. So we would like to develop more activity in very specific areas which are necessary for development of the competitiveness of the members, and we see this as an effort that will be rewarded, because thus the members will be more connected, more cohesive, and they will have the possibility to expand activity beyond the dependence on imports. The second one is to continue to stay focused on research and innovation collaborative projects in the benefit of the members' competitiveness. It has been done in the past with successful results, creating common facilities to be shared by the members for testing, exploring new innovative solutions, exercising on the new technologies and so on. So this will continue. And the last one, like I said, is to boost internationalization and networking, pay much more attention on the importance that can be attracted through the support of cooperation. For administrative capacity, we also have proposals to develop a program focused on the skills for smart specialization and industrial transition of the members of the cluster, especially the SMEs, to have created a regional one-stop shop that offers information and support in preparation of research and innovation projects, and also to make use of the new digital innovation hub created at regional level for increasing the digital transformation of the companies. So this is my presentation, and I stop here waiting for questions for my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much to you, Gabriela. And we jump directly to Ulla Engelmann, because we are short of time today. And I am sure that we will be interested on returning to you with some questions. So Ulla, please, I have your presentation in my screen. If you want,
okay, thank you very much, Antonio. Okay, and I will try to be brief because I have some time for questions. So if we go to, she said, I think it's important to have a question. Next slide, and in the next slide, it is in principle just a summary of what has been done, and also from my side, as it's the last seminar, big thanks, Antonio. Just the slide before, that we have established this quite innovative, yeah, this one, yeah. This innovative, don't worry, this innovative way of working together via these meetings. And I think everybody knows what is part of this meeting, and people can look at the slides afterward. And part of this was also to have this cluster portal. But I think what is the most important, if we go to the next slide, is of course the exchange we had and we are still having. And if we talk about recovery from Commission side, when we talk about recovery, we look also at the 14 industrial ecosystems, which cover about 90% of the economy, and also where you see the ones which have been most hit. And this is just a short overview of some figures which give you an idea about the economic value, about the turnover, about the employees, and how many companies are involved in these different industrial ecosystems. And then now we have to look within the ecosystem what can be measures to help for recovery. And I think this is why it was very important that also the clusters looked in the way, because clusters are in principle even, we can say, little ecosystems, and that we analyzed what role can clusters play within this different ecosystem, because like this can help sense of formulation on how clusters can help for recovery. And in the presentations before, there were also the mentioning that when clusters identify, and then we come to the next slide, clusters identify that in some areas there's something missing in some value chains or in the ecosystem, and this could then help the regional or national authorities to react, meaning in the case like from what was presented from Northeast Romania, saying we know the clusters have indicated that there's a gap, and then you could work on this. So I think this is what we also tried to do with the rapid alert function, because in the roadmap to recovery was mentioned that we need a rapid alert function, and that clusters should be part of this rapid alert function. But of course, not clusters on their own. There are also other players like the EEN, the sectors themselves, the associations, the Chamber of Commerce. So we are bundling, or we're trying to bundle all the information we are getting from the different sources to have it. It is not an established system. It is, we are collecting these messages within the Commission from different sides, and then we try to see who is best placed to react to this alerts. And sometimes it might be on European level, it might be regulatory level, it might be investment level, but sometimes it can be national, it can also be regional, and or even local, and sometimes even within a cluster. And the solution can also be found within the cluster or within the region. And I'm very pleased with the Romanian example, because that's really, I see the convergence of ideas. So that brings me to the next slide, where we really want to reinforce the leadership through clusters, because clusters are bridging actors and they bring innovative proposals. So as we said, they can identify disruptions in the value chain and in the ecosystems, but what is even more important, they can also find solutions. And another important issue, which are critical, either
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Ula, we lose your sound. I see you as with communication problems. We were hearing you very well until something like 30 seconds ago.
Okay, so can I continue?
Now it's perfect.
Okay. Okay, so can you move a slide down? Okay, so this is the overview of the European recovery budget, which was proposed and accepted by the European Council, which still needs to go through the European Parliament. And there are two parts of this budget. One is a multi-annual financial framework, which is a 7 years EU budget. And then there's a 750 billion, which is called Next Generation EU. And this is a recovery package. And this recovery package, this is the one which will go to the member states, and it will be split in grants and loans. Whereas the MFF is the usual instrument the European Commission has to manage its programs. So within the MFF, we also have the centralized managed programs, but the 750 billion, this is the money which goes to the member states, and within this, there are then the national recovery programs, which need to be submitted to the Commission in order to indicate how the member states are going to use the recovery money. And if we go to the next slide, then you see a breakdown how this recovery money is splitted. So it is mainly the recovery and resilience facility, but then there is some money also going to REACT-EU, Horizon-EU, InvestEU, Rural Development, Just Transition Fund, and RESC-EU. But my message is this 750 billion are going to the member states, and the member states have these national recovery plans, and these national recovery plans will have to be submitted informally for consultation to the Commission on 15th of October, and finally in January. But that means, and that's why it is very good to have the colleagues from Italy and the Romanian region here, because the regions are, of course, basing what they will be doing on their smart specialization strategy. So what they have discussed there will be either reinforced or strengthened, or at least it will be a basis for the discussion of recovery. And within the regions, in the member states, will take place these decisions and these discussions. First, of course, discussions. And that's why it is extremely important that the colleagues in the regional authorities and on national level are aware about the potential clusters have for the recovery. And that's why we should also use then this moment of some regions and member states being well aware and help the knowledge exchange maybe to those who are less aware. And what we are proposing on European level is now in the next slide, where we want to propose our joint cluster initiatives, which we call Euro clusters, which are there where we want to apply to the different ecosystems in order to help transformation of our economy to be more resilient, more green, more digital, but based on what I said before, identifying critical infrastructures, critical inputs, and critical technologies. Let's say a tiny part of the budget, but this is because a big bulk will be in the national recovery programs directly managed by the member states. Another area in the next slide, which is very important for the recovery, it is the skills and particularly the re- and upskilling, because the provisions are not very bright. What we see a lot of layoffs. And I think there, for me, one interesting part is to see how can clusters support re- and upskilling, but also how can clusters maybe help if one company has to lay off and another company might need and retrain staff. So if we can also think how clusters can help in this perspective, I think this would be also very useful within the recovery process. And for this, we have the Pact for Skills, which is part of the European Skills Agenda, which was published on the 1st of July. And yeah, and of course, in the next slide, just to let you know that we are discussing this also with the member state and our expert group for clusters, and our recommendation should then also be based on what I just presented there. Okay, thank you very much.
You are very welcome, Ula, as always. You are, in fact, a big part of the heart, the core of this European Alliance Against Coronavirus. So thank you very much, not only for today, but for all your support and activities during those past 4 months and before also, okay? So thank you. We are near 9:30, but I think it will merit to extend the session some minutes for those that can do it, okay? And so I want to give you the opportunity to make some comments, questions, additions, okay, to what has been said. I also want to say hello to Jan Martin from the ECCP that is today with us. And the ECCP is a big actor in our environment, in our activities during this year also. So Jan, I would like to hear you. What do you think?
Okay, many thanks, Antonio and Ula, of course, for this wonderful series. I mean, it's really, really impressive what you put together. And, you know, as Ula mentioned, you know, it was a fantastic cooperation, the COVID response force, and I think there's a lot of scope for moving forward. So I really like the strategic approach taken here. How can clusters really link up to this bigger recovery plans, as we now heard? And I think what's binding this together, and we heard it both in Italy and Romania, there are smart specialization strategies out there on the ground. So I think the challenge is how these good strategies that have been developed and which a lot of efforts have been put in, how to ensure that they are indeed included and they resonate in these recovery plans. And I think clusters are fantastic in bringing this issue up from the bottom, but I think it requires probably more support from regional managing authorities, but possibly also from other actors. So my question is, how can we strengthen this bottom-up, let's say, initiative and ensure that good work done at bottom-up level is indeed taken forward in this the preparation of these recovery plans? I think it's a huge challenge, but if we manage and if you manage to do that with the help of regional actors, then I think, you know, it's a huge advantage.
Thank you, Jan. Who will answer Jan's questions? Who wants to comment on it? Annie. Sorry. There was somebody. I don't know who was starting to speak. Go on, please.
Can I comment here? Gabriela,
Please, Gabriela, go on.
I would like to ask Federica if there is possible to access a link for the report, the specific report prepared for three priorities. It is a very useful and inspirational model that we would like also to analyze more. And to comment a little bit to the presentation of Ula, I would like to say that one issue that we saw as a regional development agency that is stressing the challenge I would like to advance as hypothesis is the fact that the strategic capability of the cluster is needed in such times, and it's important for the management of the clusters to focus and give necessary attention and resources to have a little bit more wider strategic perspective. I don't know if until now it happened so, because usually the members coming from the industry are asking for immediate answers, immediate responses and the delivery. But this strategic approach shows us it's very important, like Ula said, to make the necessary correlations and coordinations at the right moment. And this is the right moment for the next programming period and the recovery plans.
So first, Federica, it's possible to have the link or the references?
Yes, of course. I will send the link where the reports are available. The only problem is that they are only in Italian at the moment, so I'm very sorry about this. This is the only thing, but I will send a link that we can share where we have our report. With reference to the first question, I would like to say that I think that with reference to the recovery plan, I think that smart specialization strategies in Italy, for instance, they build a kind of infrastructure that we can use now for the recovery plan. I will explain myself. For instance, to have a good entrepreneurial discovery process, we will launch the National Laboratory for the Research and Innovation Policies. Now I think that this laboratory, where all the actors of the innovation system are present, is a good place to share proposal for our national recovery plan. So in my opinion, the smart specialization strategies gave us the opportunity now to have some instruments and a higher involvement of actors that can be useful to define good proposal for the national recovery plan.
That's perfect. That's what we are looking for using the references that has been built through the past year to the recovery plan. Thank you very much, Federica. And I see that Celine wants to speak, but I will give Ula the opportunity to answer also Gabriela's question before. Thank you, Ula.
Okay. Yeah, on the clusters having strategic plans or working on strategies, I think we see a very different panorama in Europe. Some clusters do, and some clusters have even, let's say, great visions, and I'm thinking in this case on Bianca Dragomir with her cluster in Valencia, a green tech clusters who wants to work on clusters of change. But of course, it's varied. Not everybody has this, but if we can maybe help those who have these ideas, who want to change, who have this strategic view and can inspire others, I think that would be already very good. And therefore, this forum like ECHA is an excellent tool to do so. But of course, we also need to go further, and I think this is one of the parts where we need to look together. How can we spread the word and reach out to even more than we are reaching out now via ECHA and ECCP? So I think there is work to be done, but we have very good examples to build on.
Thank you, Ula. Celine, welcome. Bonjour.
Yes. I am still on holidays in Montpellier, south of France, but I wanted to be there the next day, the last day, excuse me. I see that you decided, and I understand it's interesting, to split in 3 different webinars in greener, digital, and resilient. I think it's important to go deeper, and maybe it's a good way to go deeper in each domain. But the interaction between the 3, I think, is very, very important. So I asked it in the chat, and Victor proposed to make a 4th seminar to generate links, but maybe once a week, the 3 webinars could meet and make reports to the other ones in order to create these links, I don't know, once a week, maybe on Friday, to synthesize the week and to make the opportunity to make these links between the three dimensions that, in my point of view, are so complementary that it's important to see how to coordinate the three at the same time.
Thank you, Celine. Probably it's a misunderstanding. Okay, if we speak about the seminars, the morning sessions of the European Cluster Alliance Against Coronavirus, we plan to dedicate one full week on September to the S3 strategies across Europe, and today's references will fit perfectly on that specific week, okay? And for the rest, we will dedicate some specific sessions on the recovery plans, national recovery plans. We want to bring to this morning session different responsible policymakers from different countries, just to share what every country is doing on that, and to give us the opportunity to copy the best practice for sure. Okay, and there will be also others specific session on the skills, the different 14 ecosystems. I don't know. We will continue being very flexible, but focus on what is more important. But at least in the morning session, we are going to cover those resilient, green, and digital aspects across the different initiatives.
Yeah, excuse me, I made a misunderstanding. I thought that you made it, you wanted to make it in parallel. So it is 1 week. I remember we spoke about that 2 weeks ago. So okay, I see the point. So it's okay for me. But I think that thinking at the end how to coordinate the three aspects or during the process would be very, very interesting. Anyway, thank you very much.
You are very, very welcome, Celine. So I think there could be a lot of things to speak about, but I think it's time to close. Okay, thank you very much for all of you. We are making a pause in August for these webinars, but we are continuing because, you know, everything is moving fast, quickly. Every country is thinking now on the recovery plan. So don't hesitate to reach for us during this month, okay? And enjoy your weekends or your holidays if you will take them during the next month. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Ula,
have a good break.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Antonio.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.